Find your relief at The Joint Chiropractic with no appointments or insurance.
Tell the truth.
BS3 Network is now on Roku TV under BS3 TV. Download today. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
The Information Man Show, live in effect with truth. You're not going to get it nowhere else. Truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Shame the devil. And tell the truth. You're gonna get the truth, whether you like it or not.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
the truth.
What's up, everybody? Peace. What's up, everybody? This is the Information Man Show, and I'm going to let the data speak for itself today. I have a lot of different things to say about this issue, and I want you all to really take what I'm going to say today very seriously on these YouTube streets. This may be the most, in my opinion, my humble opinion, these types of topics are the most important topics that we need to be examining. We need to face. We need to come with solutions. We need to study and understand what is happening, especially when it becomes a problem in our own community and it hits at home with our own youth. Before I get into this presentation, let me just let everybody know out there who will be watching this program on the replay and will be watching this program live right now, is that I have experience in this area. I work as a rehab therapist. I've been working in mental health damn near 25 years. I deal with guys in the prison system, so I see a lot of horrendous situations, suicidal behavior, people who take their life because they feel hopeless, feel they have no way out. And I think a lot of times we forget about our kids and the things that our kids go through in this world, a lot of stressors that they deal with in this world. A lot of the social media is more intense today than it ever was when we grew up. I'm a Gen Xer, or even the baby boomer generation. These kids have a lot more cyberbullying going on, a lot of things that affect them emotionally. And kids today are trying to fit in this world of social media, this world of expectations, whether the expectations that are from the family, the mother, the father, and what we want our kids to go to school, we want them to be successful. And then there's the peer pressure to fit in. And then, of course, today we have a lot of issues around sexuality, sexual identity, sexual preference, all these different things. And we forget that all of this stuff, all this gumbo yaya, meaning all these mixture of circumstances, affect young people and affect them very heavily. So it's with a heavy heart that I present this to you today. And I think we need to really wake up. Before I get started with this broadcast, I must do my due diligence as a member of the BS3 network. BS3 network, you can find the BS3 network, as I'll put this on the screen here, on Roku TV. Definitely check it out. I'm a part of that network. I want to say shout out to Brother Ben out there. We got everything on there. We got people who do sports. We got people who do relationship talk. We have people who do cultural and news talk like myself. We have people who delve into entertainment, news, and what have you. It's a great network, great place to be a part of.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts.
And with that said, what I like to do is definitely play, we have a sponsor. So I'm going to play that sponsorship video right now before I get into
the truth,
the meat and sauce of today's program. So just bear with me just for a moment. Let's take this commercial break. This is BS3 Network. Information Man is in effect. If you like music and you like channels on YouTube that give you rock music, pop music, folk music, family music, hip hop and rap, R&B music, all those sort of things, country music, check this one out for a moment. And this is sponsored by BS3 Network. And here's Brother Ben talking right now.
YouTube channel. They believe that music has the power to inspire and connect people from all walks of life. Their goal is to create a loyal community of music lovers who can come together and share the passion to discover new artists, music, and videos. So jump in, pull up a seat, relax and chill, and join on the ride for season 1 of Free Them. New episodes are released on the 4th of each month. And if you're a fan of rock, pop, country, rap, hip hop, Americana, folk, blues, and other genres of music, you are sure to find something that will definitely spark and pique your interest. With music from up-and-coming artists as the Lightbulbs, Rit Wicker, L.T. Braddock, Coy Kane Cash, Danes Da Vinci, the SHP, the Hangout, NAIF Intent, and the Cover Up. Remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons, leave a comment, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode. So let's embark on the musical adventure together. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to youtube.com/FreeThemNow and check out a brief clip of one of the music videos on their channel.
Tell the truth.
All right, folks. Thank you, Brother Ben and BS3 Network. Let's get back to the topic at hand. I really appreciate everybody that's here. And this, once again, is a very difficult topic to talk about. I am going to use words like delete, because the reason why I'm going to use that, we know the word is, we know suicide is something that happens in this society, and it should not happen. It's a terrible thing, and we should speak out against it and speak out for helping people when they are dealing with depression and stress and what have you. But for the purpose of this video today, I will be using the word deletion or delete quite a bit because, believe it or not, YouTube and their algorithms are completely funny style when you use certain words. And this show is all about trying to help people, particularly Black youth, that are crying out silently. They're crying out alone, and we need to keep this in mind. Now, I want to start with this particular part of my presentation. I'm going to put this couple up because this is what's been talked about all over social media, all over mainstream media. Everybody seems to be concerned about Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. And why am I bringing this up? Is because they are irrelevant. They are irrelevant. Yeah, we're doing videos. I even thought about doing a video because she jumped out the window and said that they had been divorced for 7 years now, even though he went up there and punched or slapped Chris Rock like he did, which was wrong the way he did that. Look, folks.
Tell the truth.
That is not important. The Jada Smith and Will Smith relationship is not important. What's more important,
tell the truth,
is our kids. This is what's more important. Children that are struggling, whether it be with mental health issues related to thoughts of not wanting to live, or thoughts of deleting oneself. This is what we need to be talking about, how we can prevent this and what's going on. Not the Jada Pinkett and Will Smith saga. This is highly weird, y'all. You already know that their relationship is weird. Look at their kids that have grown up in Hollywood. Look at how they behave. Look at how they put all their business on the red disaster table.
Tell the truth.
And look at how, you got to remember, both of them are entertainers. They like to do anything to stay in the press. So why do we spend so much time talking about two Hollywood couples who may be dysfunctional in their own right, who are simply entertainment and a waste of our time? We already know that their relationship is weird. It's called Holly weird. A lot of these Holly weird relationships are weird. And we cannot compare our relationships to their relationship because we're not in Holly weird. We're not privy to the arrangement. Well, we are, because they come out and she runs her mouth. Right? Some of us believe that Will doesn't have any balls anymore because Jada has taken his balls. Right. But it's not important. It's not important. What's as important is that we talk to our kids. Do we spend as much time talking to our kids as we do talking about Will and Jada Smith? I bet you any kind of money we're talking more about Will and Jada than we are our own kids that are struggling, stressed out, dealing with the impacts of this society. And I'm going to break some things down to you. There's a new study that came out by Houston University that I'm going to break down to you. We have a crisis, ladies and gentlemen. We need an all hands on deck. Okay. We need to lessen all this talk and foolishness that we talk about on YouTube when there are real issues going on in our community that we need to be addressing, that we seem to be in denial. Black people, more than anybody, are heavily in denial of the mental health problems in our community, and it's spilling over to our children while we set up on these YouTube streets, wasting our time talking about this gender war stuff and other things. The kids are the ones that are the victims of the foolishness that we can't even get along and work together as a people, whether it be collectively, whether it be in our own families, whether it be between black men and black men and black women. And we set up here talking about stuff on these YouTube streets that's completely irrelevant instead of working with our youth. I can get on a panel. I can ask guys left and right, what are you doing in the community? What are you doing with youth? If you don't like what's happening, what are you doing about the problems? They can't tell you anything because they're not doing anything but just complaining about things that are not relevant to what the real problem is, which is our kids. They're the most underrepresented. Kids are the most underrepresented in this society, the most understood. We don't understand them. We might have been kids ourselves and forgot what it is to be an adolescent and what you're going through. We are also, as some of us are older, like myself, we don't realize, because we're not in their shoes, what the pressures are that they go through in this social media world. And so I hit this right here, this sound effect, because we as a people should be ashamed of ourselves. We should be ashamed of ourselves because while we're talking about things that are not important, our own kids, who we're supposed to be responsible for, are suffering in so many damn ways. And I'm going to say this too. People out there who think that this younger generation of black youth don't deal with racism and discrimination because it's an MTV world where everybody is shaking booty together. All these kids are listening to the same rap music. All these kids are going to school together, and so everything is better. It's not better. Exactly what I'm going to break down to you is the data today and the study that came out, that those two components, racism, discrimination, is affecting the younger generation of our kids that are growing up behind us. Yet we'll have people on these YouTube streets that will tell me, why do you bring up the race issue? Oh, it's a none and void situation. No, it's a situation that's still affecting our youth. This is why you have organizations like this who are trying to get it right and fix these problems. Let me show you something right here. So you got Saving Young Black Lives, Revising Suicide Trends, trying to reversing the suicide trends, trying to reverse this critical problem. Do you understand that over the years, it has been increasing? I know black people had this thing where we would often say, hey, that's something that we don't delete ourselves. Deleting oneself is something that white folks do. They are the ones that delete themselves. Yes, they do lead and do have high numbers in taking themselves out of here. But now our kids, black men, black women, black people in general, the numbers are rising for us as well. And our kids are rising. This is a serious situation that I want you to all be aware of. The most important thing you can do today is to share this video in all of your social media. Share it with your friends, your loved ones. You never know who's in your family. You never know what neighbors you have. You never know people that you love and you know that have kids that might be struggling, that they need help. That's why I put this hotline up here, because this is very important. This is a hotline that we should all be aware of right here. This is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-TALK. 8255 is the extension that you can put in there if you need help. If you know somebody that's in need, they need help immediately, you need to definitely dial this number immediately. Immediately, ladies and gentlemen, because every life,
Tell the truth.
Every life is precious, no matter what. This is some of the things that we need to remember. We need to remember that things like suicide is a silent thing. You have people that you know, that you grow up with, people that you work with, and you don't even know what's wrong with them. Sometimes we may say hi to people and they say, hey, how are you doing? and they may say, oh, I'm doing all right, but you really don't know what's going on with people until you actually have an open dialogue with them, right? There are symptoms of depression. You see this brother, I want you to look at this brother right here who obviously is looking depressed. He's looking down, right? I want you to see, check him out. He's looking depressed. He takes the glasses off. We've got a lot of people in our family, friends, people that we know who are struggling with this every single day. And we need to be aware of that. And it's not, and this is something that's hurting the Black community tremendously. Look at this right here. This sister right here looking out the window, and she's obviously depressed. Depression can lead to what? It can lead to you engaging in deleting yourself. We call it the S word. S word meaning SI. You can have suicidal. In the business that I work in, we call it suicidal ideation, suicidal behavior. These are the things that depression and sadness and feeling down and hopelessness can lead to. And we've got to figure out ways to prevent this. But this is not only happening to adults, but it's happening to our youth as well. I want you to look at these series of pictures that I'm going to show you. I want you to look at the facial expressions of all these young people on these pictures. And these are symptoms. If you have kids at home, you have nephews, nieces, you need to really examine their body language. Sometimes people don't express what's going on with them verbally. A lot of times our kids may not express, especially children. If you've taken a child development class, you should take one or study about it. A lot of times kids don't always express how they feel through verbal skills. Sometimes kids will express how they feel through their body language. You can have your daughter, for example, you see this young sister here, she's in class, and you may look at that picture and say, oh, she's just probably stressed out over the lesson plan, right? But a lot of times our kids go to school and they bring whatever problems are happening at home to the classroom, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, today's show will be an educational show. I'm going to use my clinician's hat as therapist to talk about this issue. I'm not playing any games today. Make sure you share this video. This is not the type of video that brings out a large crowd of people. This is not a kind of video that a lot of our people want to deal with. We want to realize is a reality. Not all of us, but some of us are in denial of these very true facts because we're suffering from some form of mental health problem ourselves, which could lead to one engaging in the SI word, the S, which would be leading to you deleting yourself because you're feeling down, you're feeling hopelessness. We have to realize how this is affecting our kids as well. You have a young man right here wearing his backpack. I want to bring this up right here. This picture right here is significant. I'm going to tell you why. The sister that's on the picture that you see right there, her name is Maxine. I think it's Maxie. Her son, Jamal Clay, is in the picture that she's holding, the framed picture that she's holding. This happened in Illinois. He died by deleting himself, ladies and gentlemen. He died by deleting himself on May 2020 because he was dealing with some emotional issues that caused him to take his life. We call it, they call it suicide. So he deleted himself because of the stressors that he was dealing with. And this is the mother. And she has spoken out about this issue. And this is what happens when people take their life. We fail to understand that when people take their life, a lot is left behind for the family to try to pick up the pieces and say, why did they do this? And then sometimes family members will blame themselves. You will look at yourself as a father. You'll look at yourself as a mother, and you will say, did I do this? I want you all in the chat room, if you're picking up on what I'm saying so far in the presentation, I want you to put those 7s in the chat room, letting me know that you are following me so far. This is a serious issue. I'm not smiling. I'm not jiving around here. I'm going to tell the truth as always, as you know I do. And on this channel, you know you're going to get, I'm one of the few channels on these YouTube streets that's talking about real things that happen in real life, real things, and I'm giving you information that can actually help you in your real life. There's hidden signs you need to look for, as I said before. Body language. How does your child look at you? How do they move? Are they slouching their body? Are they not talking to you as much? Are they not eating like they used to eat? Are they eating less and drinking less? Is your child sleeping more than they usual and they're less active? There's all sort of signs, not only for kids, for youth, not only for youth, but for adults as well. Things that we should be looking at as signs, telltale signs of concern. Keep this in mind. Our youth today are dealing with a higher level of bullying. You have cyberbullying in school where kids are using the internet. They're using YouTube. They're using Instagram. They're using Facebook. They're using, I guess, X now, and they can use that to bully other kids and things of that nature. And that's really damaging psychologically, because the bullying that goes on today in cyberspace is out there forever. It's like it's in the system forever. You can't get rid of it. You can't erase it. Everybody, hundreds and thousands of people can see it, and that can be embarrassing. That could also lead to a youth, black youth in particular, white youth, any youth, becoming depressed and ultimately leading to them feeling hopeless, not feeling like they're heard, and then they could possibly delete themselves. And that's something that we don't want to see happen. This is why you need to talk to your kids. You need to have open dialogue. They must know that they can come to you about any and everything. Gone are the days when we as a people, particularly black people, remember those days when we would black people would sit at the dinner table or the breakfast table, and you would talk to your parents, and your parents would ask you what's going on, how is school, how do you feel today? That's why it's important to have dinner at the table with your family. We're lost that. A lot of times in households today, people are getting their plate and they're going to another room, and there's no dialogue. If you are a father, if you are a mother, and you're not having those dinner times huddles to talk to your kids, you will never know if something was to happen to them. If they were to delete themselves, you would look back and say, if I only had spoken to them more, if I only had been more open to what's going on with them. These are key. These are just key things that we fail as a society, as a community, and that's all communities, not just the black community, we fail to address because we're too caught up in the individualism instead of the collectivism of our families.
Tell the truth.
So then you see the body language on these youth, the slouching, the head down. These are signs you need to really recognize as to what's going on with our youth. Especially for my black fathers out there. I'm a black father as well. We need to be, I know we think that, well, women, it's a woman's job to be nurturing, and it's our job as men just to set the discipline. God damn it, no. You need to be just as nurturing as well to your kids. You see this brother right here, and nurturing doesn't mean you're bathing them. Nurturing them is being able to say, as a father, I'm going to put my arms around my son, and I'm really going to be open to finding out what's going on with my son, what's stressing him, what makes him feel he doesn't have confidence in himself, what's going on. Is he being bullied at school? Am I putting too much pressure on my son or my daughter? So you got to look within to understand what's going on without. Look at yourself as a parent. What sort of expectations do you put on your kids? Are they unrealistic expectations? Are the expectations appropriate for what's happening in society today? Do you know who your kids' friends are? What kind of friends do your kids hang around? What is the influence? Used to be a time when you grew up in a neighborhood. That's how I grew up. All the friends that you had were in the same neighborhood, and your mama and your daddy knew who their parents were. They knew who the kid was. They knew, oh, that's Miss Johnson's son. That's Mr. Smith's son. You knew exactly who they were and where they come from and who they people were. So if you caught them doing something, you could say, hey, son, you know I'm going to tell your father. You know I know your father. I know you live around the corner on James Street. Okay, at 24-6 James Street. I know your father. I see him every day. See, gone are those days. We're so installated, we're so isolated to ourselves that also breeds these situations that I'm about to explain to you today. You need to take this video serious. 55 people here watching, a damn shame. Should be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600,000 damn people. All of Black YouTube should be over here listening and taking this in. But if I was talking about Jada Pinkett Smith, if I was wasting my time, as I'm going to put them up here, if I was wasting my time on these creepy individuals, if my topic was the Jada Smith Pinkett and Will Smith Holly Weird, then all of y'all would be over here to listen to that sermon. When in fact, these two couples are irrelevant to what's happening in Black America. Their own kids have problems. Haven't you noticed that? Their own kids, or at least their kids that were raised in Hollywood or Holly Weird, their own kids have issues. And so while we're talking about them as adults, look at their kids. Will Smith's older son is not weird like that because he didn't grow up in Hollywood. The young man's going to medical school. But when you look at the kids that have been raised in Holly Weird, why are you wasting time on the couple when you can look at the other kids that grew up in Holly Weird and see how Holly Weird out they are? How about we take the time and worry about our own families, our own kids, as this brother right here is hugging his son? Why don't we focus on that? Why don't we understand that there's bigger fish to fry than these celebrities and the waste of time that they are? Because if I was certainly doing that program today, all of you would be over here today. All of you would be over here in droves to hear what Info's got to say about that Smith family debacle. Instead of listening to how you can prevent this situation here you see on my screen, dial 1-800-273-TALK. 8255. 8255 is the other part of the number where it says 273-TALK. How about we focus on that, because our kids are catching hell right now. Our kids are struggling while we're finger popping. And I wonder, when I look at YouTube today, I'm gonna make some people upset today. When I look at YouTube today, particularly Black YouTube, I only go live on here once a week. I drop a few videos on the sports channel, Prime Sports Media. But when I look at how much time people spend on these YouTube streets, sitting on panels for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 hours and 10 hours, and I wonder, and then they say they have kids, and I say, well, when do you spend time with your kids? Do you know where your child is right now? Do you know who your child's friends are? Do you know if your child is suffering from any mental health problem? Do you know if your child has been thinking about deleting themselves? When have you sat down with your kids and had a real down-to-earth conversation about this very issue that I'm talking about, face to face? Spend more time doing that than sitting on these damn panels for hours talking about foolishness for hours. We got real fish to fry. We got real issues out here. Let me put this on here let me just break this down. This is going back to 1991 through 2017. This is what they said at that time, between that time. Experts say increasing access to treatment and highlighting protective measures such as a young person having a strong support system. That's what I'm talking about. Strong support systems are ways to help reduce the risk of suicide or them deleting themselves. Black youth suicide in the United States has been labeled as a crisis by some mental health experts. Research shows that Black youth under 13, like this, or like this. This video today, this YouTube video today is the realest. It don't get no real than what I'm doing over here. Y'all think y'all been watching real stuff on these YouTube streets. It doesn't get any real than what I'm talking about right now. Black youth under 13 are twice as likely to die by suicide. Suicide attempts among black adolescents rose by 73% between 1991 and 2017. This is a problem that's been laden in our community for quite some time.
Tell the truth.
It isn't new. It's been happening and going way back a little bit. Now, let's bring it up to a little bit of update now. Let's go into this right here. Now, this is an organization called the Vermont, which is a health initiative organization. I'm going to bring up some more data, but off their site, and let me put in the chat room the website, the data the information from the University of Houston, who did a recent study. And this is very serious stuff. I'm not playing around today. I'm not laughing. This is serious. Attempted suicide rates among black and white youth individually. Black youth, it rose to 11.8%. White youth went to 7.1%. This data comes from 2019, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell the truth.
I want you to focus. I want you to listen. I need you to share this video. I need you to watch this video once or twice. I'm not going to make it a super long video, but I'm getting right to the point of the issue today. Now, that number that I put up, that was in 2019. The other information I put up was between 1991, 2017. Then we had the 2019 data that I just put up that was just right here, right? Well, part of this was a health organization that put up some other daunting statistics that you need to be aware of. This is the Vermont perspective. Okay? This is about black suicide rates. Students are more. This is black students. This was part of their health initiative trying to combat this situation. It says here, this is all pertaining to black youth. Black students are more likely to feel sad or hopeless, 34%, versus 30% make a suicide plan, 17% versus 13% or attempt suicide. So you basically have 17% of black youth.
Tell the truth.
Of black youth who 34% feel hopeless, 30% will make a plan for suicide, 17% versus 13% attempt suicide, 10% versus, put this back up here, versus 6% than their white counterparts. The rate of black suicide deaths rates has increased from 3.6% for a 3-year average to 8.6 in 2022 alone as of August. Now, today is the year 2023.
Tell the truth.
We're in October. We're in October the 15th. And you say, well, these numbers are not old. This is still relevant today. The rate of black suicide death rates has increased from 3.6 for a 3-year average to 8.6 in 2022. Okay? It already broke down the fact that 34% will feel hopeless. That's why I said, when's the last time you talked? When's the last time you've talked to your child, your son, your daughter? When's the last time you talked to them about how they really, really feel? I'm not talking about talking to them about school and sports and all that kind of nonsense. I'm talking about talking to them really about who they are and how they feel. Understand, who are your kids' friends? Who are their friends? What are they? Because whoever your kids' friends are is who they're really getting their influence from. We think because we are adults and that we raise and give birth to these children, that somehow we have completely imprinted them with all of our values and morals, if we're even moral, because some of us are running around here immoral.
Tell the truth.
But just because we think that we've imprinted them with all the tools of don't do that, don't do this, don't talk back, don't do this, stand still when you stand straight when you look at a person in the hand. We give our kids all this information overload as to what we expect of them, but we have to also understand that no matter what we imprint them with, even it be religion, the strongest influence on these youth today is their peers. Their peers, unfortunately, have more sway over them than you do because it's called peer pressure. They want to be accepted by their peer group, the people that they can relate to. Your kids can't relate to you because you're not 17, you're not 16, you're not 15, because you're not their friend. You're not supposed to be their friend. You're supposed to be their damn parent. You hear too many people talking about, I want to be my child's friend. It's not your job to be their friend. It's your child to be their parent. And so we think because it's our child that, our child relates to it. No, your child and our kids relate to people of their own peer group, age, and people that are going through what they're going through. They spend more time in school. They spend more time around their own peer group than they're spending around you because you're working. You're paying bills. And how much time do we really give to our kids? I'm saying this because all these things are happening. And when our kids do something like delete themselves, then we're running around and we're saying, what happened? Did not give them a colored TV? What happened? Did not give them a cell phone? What happened? Did not give them love? What happened? I got them in the best school. What happened? I gave them a PlayStation 5, an Xbox. What happened?
What happened? What really happened?
We got to be really serious about this, folks. All the materialistic things that you can give your kids, that's not really what they need. They need your nurturing. They need your understanding. That's what they really need. You see this brother here, hands over his son. They don't need toys. They don't need electronics. We think they do. And a lot of times as parents, we give our kids electronics and things that we think that they want, sometimes as a way to parent them, because we don't want to spend any time to really get to know who our kids are as they get into their adolescence deeply. So we start giving them things and thinking that that's enough because I'm providing for them as a parent because I'm giving them stuff. And therefore, you're using computers and all this technology to parent your child instead of you being a parent. And then we wonder, like this sister right here, we start to wonder, what happened? Why'd they do this? I've given them everything that they can imagine in life. And we think because we give our kids
Tell the truth.
a private school education that that's going to get rid of all the other ills that they're dealing with in this society. And then we run around here and think that our kids don't deal with racism, that it doesn't impact them institutionally, indirectly. And the studies are already saying that it's affecting black kids. So we think that we've gotten so far along that, and we haven't. I'm here to give you the sad truth, whether you like it or not. Let me put this slider up right here. I'm going to read this to you. Figure 2. This is from New York. A share of New York's high school students reported an injurious suicidal attempt in 2019. a share of New York's high school students reporting a injurious suicide attempt in 2019 by select racial or ethnic groups. Hispanics are at 4.2% in New York. This was back in 2019. All right. White people were at 2%. White kids were at 2%. Asian kids were at 1%. Multi-racial kids. This is kids that make up,
Tell
kids
the truth.
that are biracial. And I can tell you why this is high for them. Kids that were biracial was in the is in purple. It's in purple at 1.5%. Black kids are at 3.8%. This is, once again,
Tell the truth.
this is kids in the school system of New York who have had self-injurious suicidal behavior. Meaning they have attempted it. They didn't just think about it. Everything that people do to themselves starts with what? Depression, hopelessness, sadness. And of course, our kids also are dealing with being bullied. And black kids in particular have been bullied in school. We've seen this. I've done videos on this. We have black kids that deal with racism. Remember the video that I did on my podcast channel about I think it was a 6-year-old kid who picked some flowers, and they did what to him? Took him to a courtroom and tried to prosecute him, right? We've seen black kids. Remember the video that I did about the black kid that was being bullied in school by the gym teacher? He went to a overnight and they were trying to make him, drink urine. Remember that? Oh, we got all sorts of examples of what happens to our kids in these so-called good schools. I'm not playing with y'all. Once again, Hispanics are at 4.2%, a little bit higher than us. We're at 3.8%. Whites at 2%. Asians at 1%. Multiracial or people that's biracial is at 1.5%, y'all.
Tell the truth.
This is serious. Once again, I'm not surprised by the low number count in the chat room, or not in the chat room, but in the low count numbers, because we don't want to deal with this reality. We rather talk about Jada and Will. Is that what y'all want me to talk about today? Is that the video that I should have done that would bring people over for me to critique their dysfunctional relationship, which doesn't matter to the bigger scope of what's happening to our kids? While we're worrying about their goofy relationship, we should be more focused on what's happening in our households with our kids who are feeling, or some of our kids who you might right now in your household, or you might right now have a family member that you don't even know, and I don't know too, might be suffering and considering deleting themselves. It could be in your own household, or a family member that you haven't talked to in a long time, or a family member that you talk to every day or every other week. And they're suffering from something, and we spend more time worrying about Will and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Tell the truth.
People don't want to come over here for this type of truth. This is what my channel represents, what I represent, because I work with youth and have worked with youth. When I hear people yapping about kids and how we going to change the black community around, and then you ask them, what are you doing? Are you donating to an organization like Urban Nerds Worldwide? My man, brother George Macomb, has an organization called Urban Nerds Worldwide where he's working with youth. You can see it on video. He's trying to get them into STEM, science. He wants to make being a nerd and being a black child involved in science, make that cool and make the N word obsolete. Make it uncool to be a nigga running around here. I'm going to tell it like it is. And make it to be black and nerdy to be elite. Yes, indeed. And to be something that we should rise to the occasion for, that we should celebrate. We like to celebrate the knuckleheads who did all type of crime. They go to jail and they get out of jail, and then all of a sudden they're trying to sell us some slick package like Jay Morrison, telling sell black people on real estate when he's scamming you. We love to celebrate those kind of folks who were in jail, but why don't we celebrate the black young male and female who did not go to jail, did not do no total con game. They stayed the straight and narrow, went to school, got an education, got skilled trades or something of that nature, and they're doing well for themselves. Why don't we celebrate that? Why don't we celebrate the young youth who is playing the violin or playing an instrument that we think is corny, that some of us think is corny? Why don't we celebrate that as much as we celebrate our kids being able to throw a damn football or play basketball up and down a damn wooden floor? Why don't we celebrate that? Let's go into this slider right here. This is the past year suicidal thoughts and behaviors among high school youth in Black or African American populations, United States. This was back in 2021. The fate felt sad or hopeless. Felt sad and hopeless, 39% of Blacks or African Americans felt sad and hopeless. That's in blue. The gray represents the overall United States. The overall United States population feels 42% sad and hopeless. That's why we have this problem, y'all. So remember, the blue represents black people. The gray represents the whole country in a whole. Seriously considering attempting to delete oneself or suicide is 22% for black people. This was back in 2021. And overall, for the whole country or the whole nation, is 22%. You see how our numbers are? Our numbers is almost as close as the damn whole country. This is scary. Made a suicide plan. Black Americans at 18%. The whole overall United States at 18%. Why are our numbers so close to the whole of the country? Attempting suicide, 14% Black Americans tried to attempt that. It's at 10% for the whole country. Suicide attempt requiring treatment, 4% Black Americans, 3% the whole country. That means that required you to get treatment, meaning you were rushed to the hospital. They had to revive you, the whole 9 yard. DJ Chuck, good to see you over here. Jill's Chocolate Boutique, Alicia, Baby Rashad. What's going on, brother Rashad? That's the elder in the house, y'all. Let's give him a clap.
Tell the truth.
That's Bubba Rashad. Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you, elder, for coming over and listening to this most important broadcast. And I'm just as arrogant. I'm going to be arrogant. This, to me, is the most important broadcast, or one of them, this year in Black YouTube, because I'm talking about things that are happening right now. I'm talking about how this is affecting our youth. And Bubba Rashawn, you need to hear this. A lot of our youth are engaging in deleting themselves because of racism, discrimination, because I'm going to bring you up to the recent study that was done at the University of Houston, a comprehensive study. It's very serious, my brother. It's very serious. I'm going to put that in the chat room again. Let me just read this to you. This is very important. The article is from the University of Houston, addressing the soaring suicide rates among Black adolescents. 2 University Houston studies suggest solutions must contain Black voices in the research. You must have Black voices in this research. Do you understand what I'm saying? They are emphasizing in this study the importance of Black professional voices in this issue. as I put these slides up, I want you to definitely listen and remember that the prevention line, the lifeline, is 1-800-273-TALK or 273-8255. If you know someone who is struggling, a youth, an adult, you just need to be assured of this reality, that this is something that is happening, that we need to be aware with our youth. According to the University of Houston study, they said this: that's why researchers are, instead of employing CCM methods. Now, CCM methods, which is a general method to create questionnaire, right? To create questions and to listen instead of proceeding with a one-size-fit-all. So within their study,
the truth.
they used to use this thing called a CCM method of creating surveys and questions that sort of didn't meet the cultural needs of our people. So instead of having a one-size-fit-all questionnaire about suicide, thoughts, and actions among Black youth, they feel that a cultural component to this, a bigger, broad component to this, a more specific, should I say, perspective culturally to understand why the numbers are going up high amongst our people is what this is really all about. There are likely a range of reasons that Black youth may have thought about no longer wanting to live. Now, I want you guys to really take in what I'm talking about here. However, we do know that there are a range of problems that many and may be impacting Black youth in ways that are unique to them, such as systematic racism and experiencing the racial discrimination.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
The researchers are hearing that Black teens feel they are carrying a disproportionate burden. Why is that? Can anybody in the chat room tell me why is that? Why is our kids feeling a disproportionate burden, y'all? What's going on? Their bodies, check this out, their bodies and their minds are changing with adolescence, right? But they also respond strongly to images from the media. What's the images in the media? The images in the media make Black women and Black men look like we are savages. They are trying to, this is why image is so important. People always say, well, why are you concerned about image? Because he or she who controls the image controls the mind. If you control media outlets, you control the image, you control how people think about you, you control how people treat you. A lot of our youth are dealing with this image. So when we sit up here on these YouTube streets talking about what's happening to Black man and woman, why are we forgetting the Black youth? Because whatever's happening to us is going to project upon them. They become enemy number one. Because why are they enemy number one? Because they are our future, and the goal is to destroy Black people's future.
Tell the truth.
Their bodies and minds are changing with adolescence, but they also respond strongly to images from the media of violence against Black people, with the police brutality that goes on, police torturing. You've seen the torture situation in some of these states, Louisiana. We've all witnessed this. We forget that our kids are seeing these images. We forget that our kids are watching this on video. Our kids have access to social media. It's not just adults that are seeing this. Our kids are seeing this. Violence against Black people in their own first-hand experience. I'm going to keep it real. I had a cop on these YouTube streets what was it, last year? Y'all might know who this person is, who I was on a panel with, and he kept saying that, well, black people get their perception of police based on what the media tells us, right? Because he's an ex-cop, so he's got to paint this picture to stand up for his profession. And then he tried to debate me about whether policing came out of slave patrols. And everybody knows it. There's plenty of history and data and all kind of books on it. But he tried to set up there and try to push this line, and has been pushing this line, that black people get all our information about how we perceive policing and police from the media. And I said to him, no, the first place, usually black people get their first experience of how we see cops based on personal experience from what we've seen them do to our community, for one, what we've seen them do to a family member, for two, what we've seen them do to us personally, three. So even if you've never had a run-in with a cop personally, you might have observed what they did to a family member, or you observed what they did to another black person that you weren't even blood related to while you were walking down the streets, and you saw, and it traumatized you. And the study at the university, I'm gonna listen to people who do research on this, not somebody that's trying to prop his profession up and trying to change some damn narrative. And you always have to wonder, when you get these type of Negroes that come on YouTube talking to you like that, you got to ask yourself, where'd they come from? Who sent them? What's the real agenda?
Tell the truth.
Because according to the study, it says, this is the current 2023 study by the University of Houston. I'm gonna put this in here. You can Google this. If you want to get more details into this study, you can Google University of Houston study on black suicide amongst youth. There's probably tons of other material out there. There's tons of material out there for you to look through to know that this is reality. This is facts. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it again. They also, not only are they dealing with the changing of their mind through adolescence, but black youth are also responding strongly to images from the media of violence against black people and their own firsthand experience with racism. Hello?
Tell the truth.
The project at the University of Houston is really about empowering black youth. You hear what I'm saying? It is really about empowering black youth to speak their experiences and listen closely to answers. These answers may save their lives. What did I just say earlier in this program? That we need to spend more time listening to our kids, having real open dialogue with our kids, and maybe less time worried about Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Researchers were no closer to answering this question, folks, as to why black youth died by suicide at twice the rate of white teens. The investigators from the University of Houston science branch began to ask this very hard question. Louisiana State University and Purdue are additional collaborators to this study, partners in this important study, which received funding from the National Institution of Mental Health in September. The research project was initially funded by an internal grant from the University of Houston. Research on racism and its effects on our youth and their thoughts of suicide. are deleting themselves, and we don't want to see that happen. The subjects were recruited. The subjects were recruited. In this case, black children were recruited from Harris Center for Mental Health, from the Harris Center for Mental Health, a community care center that deals with the mental health of underserved populations in Houston.
Tell the truth.
I want y'all to really understand what this is all about. This brother right here you see in the video is depressed. Suicide is a silent killer because you don't always see it coming. You really don't. You talk to your friends, you talk to your family members, you talk to your kids, and they may wake up and they may look like they're doing good, but you really never know what's going on internally. That's why you must
Tell the
let
truth.
your kids know that it's an open dialogue that they can have with you about whatever is on their mind. Let me read this to you as part of the study. Nearly all the data concerning suicide ideations up until this point, ladies and gentlemen, offered insight into the experiences of white adults. So what they're basically saying is most of the studies are biased. Most studies, and what separates the University of Houston study is because they wanted to make it cultural specific, experience specific, because most of these studies are designed primarily, this is what you call the institutional racism.
Tell the truth.
Most of these studies are designed to fit the mold and the lifestyle of the white counterpart.
Tell the truth.
Nearly all the data concerning suicide ideations up until this point of this study offer insight into the experience of white adults. Preconceived notions of judgment can make their way into the act of writing survey questions that are biased, y'all, which does not capture the actual cultural experience in these cases. In this case, black youth. This study is different. It uses what is called a cultural consensus model, which is a CCM. CCMs are used two types of methodology. You got the quantitative and you got the quantitative methods to understand a problem or a challenge while being sensitive to cultural phenomena within the demographics that you are studying and trying to learn about. What's going on, brother Reckless? Ladies and gentlemen, if you are following me pretty well with the presentation so far, I would like you to put a 7 in the chat room. If you are understanding what I'm talking about, if it's making sense to you, if I'm not just up here blowing whistle, let me know by putting those 7s. If you understand or you're picking up on the presentation of what I'm talking about so far. I don't want to assume anything. Let me put this up here as a slider. This is part of the Houston University study. That's one of the most recent to come out. Now I'm going to tell you what the sample size that they did this study with. But remember, there have been other studies over the years prior to this study, and I've presented that today with some of the clips that I've put up. And as I said before, you can go on Google. Thank you, everybody. You can go on Google and you can put in there an increase in suicide and deletion amongst black youth. And you'll see tons of different studies and tons of different people who are psychologists and social workers giving all different giving their professional opinions as to what's going on. But this is from the University of Houston study, says here, right here. And remember, you can go deeper into this study when you put up the University of Houston study. It will give you different types of websites that will go, some will go a little bit deeper than others. Some will just give you a basic outline, and some will give you some more quantitative breakdown, okay? Now, for this study, 50 Black adolescents completed a study listing reasons for suicide and reasons for living among similar peer Black youth, right? So they gave reasons for wanting to take their life and reasons for wanting to live. And we want them to live, folks. The most common reason for suicide were racism at 40%. And I know that people always like to say, don't use the race card. Don't talk about race all the time. I'm sorry. Our kids today are still being impacted by this thing we call race. And even though it appears like we live in a society where our kids are going to school with other kids of other races, they're listening to the same music, they're doing the same dances, they love to be on TikTok. We're seeing Black kids and white kids and Asian kids and Latino kids. We're seeing them date and have relations with one another, right? We're seeing all these things that make us feel that, hey, maybe society with this generation is going in the right direction. Okay. And I want it to go in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. I don't like having to talk about these issues, right? But according to the study, amongst the kids that they took the sample size from that were involved in the study and other studies that are out there, this issue, for those of you who came in late, I talked about the suicide rates amongst youth in New York. I talked about a study that they did in 2021. I'm also going to bring up the LGBTQ community, what's happening to them in terms of Black folks in that community. I'm giving you a comprehensive here. We talked about, what was the one that I put up here earlier? We talked about, this is the SHARE of New York. I talked about that earlier. And before I go further, make sure that if you have someone that you are concerned about, this is a suicide prevention lifeline. 1-800-273-TALK. 8255 is the numbers for talk. Call and get help. Intervention is the most important thing that we can do for people that we believe are in crisis. And we want to prevent, we want to do everything we can, if we can, to prevent a crisis stage.
Tell the truth.
But if a person is going into crisis, the best thing you can do is to try to talk to them. Now, let me let you know something that's very important. When a person, and I know this because I do this in my profession, when a person is feeling suicidal, feeling like they want to delete themselves, or they're having suicidal ideation, should I say, the best thing that you can do for them is not necessarily tell them, give them all the answers like, boom, snap out of it. No. The most important thing you can do is listen to them. A lot of times when people are going through this situation, they just need somebody to listen. And when we mean listen, not listen just to hurry up and hear them finish talking so you can say what you got to say. Listen is to have empathy and sympathy to their problems, because a lot of people, our youth and adults, struggle with this silent killer because sometimes they've got nobody that's willing to listen to them. They feel hopeless. They feel helpless, and sometimes they just need somebody to listen to what their problems and anguish is. And you'll be surprised that if you take the time just to listen to them, that could be the difference in them doing something. Just listen and give them encouragement where needed. But listening is the fundamental thing. And this is why I said earlier in the program, we need to listen to our kids. We need to take the time to really understand what's going on with them without all the noise in the background. Really have a conversation and make them feel that they can be heard, that you hear them, that you have sympathy, empathy, and understanding. But most important part, let them be heard. The most common reason for suicide was racism at 40%, depression at 32%, poverty at 26%. You know that black people, out of all the groups in this country,
the truth.
who do not have generational wealth. And also, I got to be honest, and I got to be real with you, we actually spend our money on things that are not necessary. We spend our, like I said earlier in the show, we give our kids things instead of giving them love. We spend too much time giving them Nikes and PlayStation 5 and Xboxes, latest clothing and all this stuff that's nonsense instead of actually giving them what they really need, which is love and someone to understand them and to listen to them. We want to parent our kids with these damn gadgets. And I'm not saying all of you in the chat room. I'm not saying all of you that are listening. I'm saying this in general. So don't get it twisted, everybody. And I thank you for being here.
Tell the truth.
I know somebody said lay off the drugs, and someone might have timed that person out or what have you. You don't have to delete a person when they say that because, yes, substance abuse is a component to this. We do, let's keep it real. We have adults that are on drugs. We have our kids that are using drugs as well. So I don't have a problem with that statement, but that's not the only component. That's a part of a full component. Not just drugs. Drugs are an impact because we do have kids out here that are ruining their lives on using drugs. And that's why I said earlier in the show, do you know who your kids' friends are? Do you know the type of peers that your kids are hanging around? And what are their friends into that has an influence on your child? Because you think that you're the strongest influence on your child when it's actually their peer group that has the biggest influence on them. So I don't think that statement was a disrespectful statement. I think the statement was rooted in some truth, but it ain't the only reason why. Because I'm not using emotions here, I'm using logic. I'm going with the studies. But we do know that drug use and substance abuse and things of that nature do play a component if that's what that child is struggling. But then you have to ask yourself on the flip side, why would our youth turn to drugs? Why? The same reason why adults turn to drugs, to escape a problem that you have, to escape a mental problem, to escape an environmental problem that you have, to escape some situation through using drugs to make yourself feel better because you don't have proper, as we say in the business, you don't have proper coping skills, or you have not utilized proper coping mechanisms. And maybe they grew up seeing their parents using drugs, because they say that if you have parents that are drug addicts, that are drinkers, that are off the hook, that sometimes this could lead to children being abusers of drugs themselves in general. Let's get back to the slider. So 32% poverty, 40% racism, as I said before. No, let me correct this. 40% racism, as I said before. Depression, 32%. Poverty, living in poverty, meaning living poor, 26%. That's serious. Bullying, 22%. I said that earlier in the program, that you've got the cyberbullying.
The truth.
Look, I'm a Gen Xer. When you got bullied when I grew up, you got bullied at school. Your bullier was a physical person that could get up in your face, and you either had to fight or flight. Fight, stand up for yourself, or you flighted away by running, right? So these kids today are not only dealing with bullies that are up in their face, but they're dealing with something called cyberbullying, which social media can be used to bully them, and it could affect them heavily psychologically and embarrass them heavily psychologically. And our kids have very fragile brains.
The truth.
Okay? Keep this in mind. When you are born as a baby and you grow into adolescence, into a teenager, your brain doesn't fully function. Your brain isn't fully developed until after 25 years of your development. So you're talking about kids who have very fragile brains that have not fully developed, which is why youth juvenile youth sometimes are easy to get into mischief. They're easy to join gangs. They're easy to be swayed by their peers. They're easy to get themselves into crazy stuff because they don't have a fully developed brain. So now if you're hitting them, now if they're being hit with racism, they're being hit with poverty, they're being hit with bullying, they're being hit with depression, they can't handle it as much as maybe an adult. And we got adults that can't even handle it either and take their life and delete themselves. Now we got our kids considering deleting themselves and are in deleting themselves. Let's get back to the slider. The most common reason for living for most of the black youth were family at 58%. You know
Tell
that family
the truth.
is a powerful, I think family and our religion as black people is a powerful, 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 powerful thing. Because black youth are probably considering how they love their mother, their father, their sister, and they might even be thinking about how it's going to affect their family members. So that's very powerful that the ones that are thinking about living, the first thing that comes to their mind is family at 58%, having a purpose or a goal at 36%, having friends at 30%, and hope for a better future at 26%. Response to highlighted issues of racism and social justice and depression and poverty, as well as protective roles of relationships, living for the future and contributing to the black empowerment.
Tell the truth.
I hope you all are picking up on what I'm talking about today. I hope that it's driving home. Let me also put this up for you. This, I need you to listen to and look at this very carefully. Please, everybody, please do me this favor. Understanding black youth and suicide. The rate of suicide in black youth 13 years and older is approximately 2 times higher compared to white peers. In 2008, the 5th leading cause of death amongst black youth was 5 to 18 years old was suicide. That's in 2008. So this situation has been going on for quite some time. In 2018, suicide was the 3rd leading cause of death amongst black youth 5 years old to 18 years old. 5 years old, unbelievable. Between 2009 and 2019, folks, the percentage of black high school students who considered taking their life, check this out, considered suicide increased from 12.95% to 16.89%. That's just in 2019. Made a suicide plan increased from 9.79% to 15.02% in 2019. A suicide attempt increased from 7.94% to 11.85%, ladies and gentlemen.
Tell the truth.
This is very, 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 very sad. Now, let me get into an area that I'm sorry, I have to acknowledge this. I'm not going to run away from this reality. And that is what's happening with black people in the LGBTQ community. Suicide amongst black LGBTQ youth gender identity. Now, it breaks it up between cisgender. This is a word that they use, the cis, meaning those that were born female and male, LGBTQ youth, and then you got the transgender youth. This is for those on the left side of the screen is the cisgender. And on the right side of the screen, which is the green is the LGBTQ youth. And the blue side is basically people who are born man and, female. Seriously considering suicide in the past 12 months, 37% was what they call in the LGBTQ community the cisgender. 37% thought about suicide. But when it came to LGBTQ youth that were black, 59% of them were considering suicide in the past 9 months.
Tell
Why
the
is that?
truth.
Because let's just keep it real. They're considering this because the reality is some transgender and gay black youth don't feel accepted. They don't feel that their lifestyle is accepted by the larger black society. Of course, many black people are heavily religious, Christian and what have you, Muslim, and they may not believe or do not believe that that lifestyle is a lifestyle that God would look favorable on you, right? So you have the stress of growing up in a community where your lifestyle may not be accepted, even though we know that in the Christian black church, you have black people in the church that are gay. I know this is a stereotype, but you often see the choir director in your church sometimes can be gay, or there are just gay people that are in the church that we know, and we know that they're gay, and we look at them as still family. But there are still youth out there, black youth, who are part of the LGBTQ community who are thinking about taking their life because they are not getting accepted by their family members. They're being disowned by their mother, maybe their father in some cases, maybe by the church, by someone in the community who doesn't accept their lifestyle. This is something that does happen, which has they're saying in this study, in part of these studies, that at 59%, they are taking their life in comparison to those of us that are born as cisgender. This is the LGBTQ community's wording that they use to identify, I guess, heterosexual people or people that are born a certain sex. Whether you agree with this or not, this is the numbers. 37% are cisgender. LGBTQ, 59% have considered the idea of taking their life within the 12 months. Now let's go over to the further right side. This is transgender specific. Attempted a suicide in the past 12 months. People that are cisgender have attempted this at 14%, and transgender, black transgenders have engaged in suicide attempts at 26% within the past 12 months, according to this data sheet right here. What am I saying
Tell
to you?
the truth.
It doesn't matter the sexuality of black youth or black youth females or black youth males. It doesn't matter. We are deleting ourselves, whether we're straight or gay or transgender. However, those transgender and numbers of gay people taking their life is very high, probably the highest within our community. But keep this in mind. When they talk about suicide going up amongst black youth, they're black youth that are part of the LGBTQ community. Guess what? They're still black youth. So whatever they're doing to themselves goes into the overall total numbers of what black youth are doing to themselves and what black people are doing to themselves. They're still black people, period. We need to be aware of these things. We need to be very, very aware of this and these realities, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, if you know someone who's in need, you suspect you need more information on this sort of these realities, call the suicide prevention number Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK-8255. Go ahead and do that. Remember, I put this up before as well. Saving young black lives, reversing the suicide trends in our society. There are organizations and groups out here that are dedicated to put a stop to this trend, to what's happening. We've got to think about this. It's a sad reality. And I'm not saying that other groups are not facing this with their kids, but our kids, the numbers are going up. And once again, how often do you speak to your child? Do you know who your kids' friends are? Do you know how they really feel about school?
Tell the truth.
How they really feel about the people around them? Do you spend time having a at the table dinner with your kids versus just eating in different rooms. I feel very serious about this, folks. This is not funny. No joking matter whatsoever. I'm going to try to go into the chat room and get your thoughts about the presentation, what I've said today, and what you know about this particular subject matter. It's not a subject that we want to really talk about. It's not a fun subject, but it is a subject that we need to address. Eating alone, that's right, Jill Chocolate Boutique. We got to stop eating in separate rooms from our kids. We need to start having an at the dinner conversation with our kids more often. We got to stop just giving our kids electronic gadgets and phones and giving them all these things. And I know why we do this in the Black community, because many of us grew up without having nothing. And we said that if I grow up and I become a successful person, I'm going to give my child everything that I didn't have. But we forget that it's not things that our kids need. It's love that they need. And we don't need to spoil them with a bunch of gadgets. We need to spoil them with love, understanding, conversation, dialogue. Look at our kids today. Our kids spend most of their time with their faces in their phones, walking around with their faces in their phone. How often do you sit in the car, driving in the car with your kids, and there's no conversation because your kids are simply looking at their cell phone? How often do you tell them to turn that damn cell phone off? How often do you have weekends together where you say, this weekend, there will be no cell phones? Turn it off. MZ Kim Bling Bar and more. Make sure y'all check out her channel. She has beautiful jewelry, beautiful. If you're a lady and you like beautiful jewelry and necklaces and things of that nature, make sure you get over to her channel. She says, yes, because some kids can hide their true feelings so well that we will think they are fine until something jumps off. Exactly. Keith, I know you're a family man. You have kids, brother. Are you feeling what I'm saying? Communication is always important when it comes to my twins. My twin daughters now in their early teens. Local Tina says, love your kids, face red, heart shape. Right. Tina, local Tina, I'm glad you came back over. I know I was a little hard on you last week, but I'm glad you came back over. Because your statement is true. Some of our kids are using drugs, which is also contributing to them wanting to do something to themselves. But we have to also recognize, why are they using the drugs, right? And we need to keep our kids close to us, right? And sometimes, and this is going to be a hard pill for people to swallow, sometimes our kids are turning to drugs because there's problems at home. Oh, what about molestation that goes on? Uh-oh. I'm going to stop that right there. See? So not all our kids are living in a safe community, in a safe household. There's a lot of things that can drive youth to this dysfunctional type of behavior. Jonathan Kids in the house, putting a 7 in there. Thank you, my brother. Alicia, how many of you, I hate to ask this question, but how many of you have known someone either in your own family or you've known personally outside your family, or anyone that you've known that's either tried to attempt to delete themselves or has deleted themselves? Put a 7 in the chat room if you know someone that fits that description that you've experienced in your personal life. We got a lady 747 in the house. Thank you for being here, saying hello. Let me see. What's going on, Empress? Spiritual. Let me see. We got Empress Goddess in the house. Thank you for being here. Give you a clap. Brother West says, yes, I've lost my father from that experience. See, this issue has touched us all. I have as well. We've all been touched by this issue. See, this issue is very real. Games, drinks says 7. Let me see. Jonathan Kidd said 7. India said 7. See, this shows you that it's a serious problem. It's a serious issue. Call up 34314. What's going on, my sister? She put 777s in there. For reading, fears for reading, says my brother said he thought about it. Right. Hey, all of us have been there. Peggy Roster's come in the house and thought about it. We might have personally thought about it ourselves at a time in our life when things were not at its best. We've all have experienced some adversity in our life. I don't think there's a person that never has. Brother Bubba Rashawn, glad to have you here, brother. That's the elder. Make sure that you guys check out Brother Elder. I know you got a lot of people over there that watch you when you go live, Elder. I need you to do me a favor, brother. You need to, when you go live on your channel, because you got a big channel over there, Brother Bubba Rashawn, all due respect to you, brother, I need you to tell your audience before you end your show live with them, you need to tell your audience to get over here and watch this video on my channel. Do me that favor, Bubba Rashawn. Bubba Rashawn, I want you to share this video in your community tab, my brother. Please do me that favor, because more people need to watch this video. Not to make me look good, but to get the information that is necessary, because I don't think a lot of us in general spend a lot of time really looking into this area when it comes to people taking their lives. We usually focus on adults, right? And we forget about the kids because we think kids are they're having a good time. They go to the park. It's laughy all the time for them. No, some of our kids are suffering silently. Thank you for that, brother. Let me see. MZ Kim says, and then the prosecutors to that question, the prosecutor to that question is how many, the precursor to that question is how many of our youth are depressed, because depression can lead to thoughts of not wanting to. Right. As I said before some of you came in, or maybe you were here, let me put this back up. This is why our youth are taking their life. According to the Houston study, the most common reason for suicide was racism at 40%, depression at 32%, poverty at 26%, bullying at 22%. The most common reason for them to want to live was 58% family. What does that tell us? We got to start being in the lives of our kids, having a purpose or goal at 36%, friends at 36%. That 58% is the highest reason why our kids want to live, which tells us family is the most fundamental system that we can use and mechanize to save our kids from this fate by doing what? Talking to them, giving them love, giving them respect, right? Treating them with dignity, understanding. I know there are kids, we want them to do what we say and not as we do, but I'm sorry, damn it. We got to start being an example for our kids to follow and stop giving them mixed messages, like telling them that Santa Claus is bringing them toys when it's you that's bringing them toys. Get our kids out of fantasy and get them back into reality. We have to nurture our kids, because 58% of black kids say that that's the main thing that keeps them living is family. So that is the basis of it all. It comes down to family. Yes, my sister, family, cold family matters. Thank you. The sister says again, not judging them for having those right. Don't judge your kids for feeling how they feel. Don't judge them. So true. Rico Bazaar Foods, good to see you over here, brother. Clap to you. Jill's Chocolate Boutique says, yes, it does. Right, 100%. Make sure that you write each other's names down if you have YouTube channels so that people can subscribe to each other's channels. Please do so when you have opportunity. Bubba Rashawn said this. Okay, I will do that, my brother. Thank you. Thank you, Bubba Rashawn. Thank you. It means a lot to me that you're over here in the chat room listening to this particular live today. Out of all the lives I could do, and you know, I could have did a live about Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith and their dysfunction, and probably would have a lot of people over here watching that. I get it. You know, because this subject that I'm talking about today is not exciting. It's not something that you wake up and say, oh, info's doing the suicide in black youth. It doesn't excite you to want to click into the video. Because why? It's because you see it as it's negative, right? It's something that we want to run away from sometimes, but it's a reality. Let me see. What's going on, DoorDash Revolution, my brother? DoorDash Revolution says, good evening, information man. Hey, what's going on, my brother? Let me give you a clap. Because, you know, that's how it is on YouTube. I notice it with my own channel. If I talk about a more sexier topic, I could have 100 to 200, 300, whatever people over here, right? Last week, I talked about the situation with the migrants in Chicago. That's a hot topic. People love that topic, right? People came over for it. That's great. I could talk about the whole situation with Tupac and what happened to him. That brings a lot of people over when I do that type of video, right? Lots of people in the chat room. But this is a topic that we shy away from because we're in denial of the mental health problems that we have in the black community. So a lot of people are not going to click into the video because it's an issue that's just too real. It's not entertaining enough. Jonathan Kidd says, I have known parents to bully their own children, which leads them to feeling worthless and depressed, wanting to delete themselves. Absolutely the truth.
Tell the truth.
Everybody, check out, I want y'all to do me a favor, because I know some people in here have YouTube channels, so make sure you write people's names down, but I want y'all to definitely check out DoorDash Revolution. This brother right here is in the gig economy community, and he mainly talks about what's going on with being a DoorDash driver, but he also talks about black businesses on his channel. So on his channel, he talks about the importance of supporting black businesses. He talks about the organizations that support black businesses, the organization of black business owners, right? So he talks about stuff related to our people. And he also talks to you about the issues around being a DoorDash driver, being black and being a DoorDash driver and dealing with the gig economy. Okay? So definitely subscribe to his channel. Give him a look. There's been a lot of drama in the gig economy community as of lately. And I've been watching it. I'm gonna lie, DoorDash Revolution. This whole mess with that whole Glitchgate situation in with the DoorDash and all the back and forth between a lot of y'all, man, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. I'm not lying. It's been entertaining, but it's at the same time, there's a lot going on in that community around the issues of how drivers are being manipulated and mistreated by DoorDash itself. But I gotta say this. I'm sorry, I gotta say this. People, don't use DoorDash as your main income. Use it simply as supplemental income. Too many people are trying to do these gig jobs as main income, and they're struggling because it's up and down income. It's just my opinion, DoorDash Revolution, and I know you do it as part-time money, my brother, but it's something that community is something else over there. Something else. Let me get back on topic, everybody. But wow, Yeah, he's a good brother. He's a good brother. Yeah, he's a good brother. And thank you for the mods that dropped his link. And you can guess what? Everybody in this chat room, if you are modded up and you have a channel, I have no problem with you dropping your channel link. And I have no problem with you dropping the channel links of people in the chat room who I don't have a problem with that, because like I said, we should all be supporting one another. That's what it's really all about. Yeah, no problem, brother. No problem. Clap to you. No problem. Clap to you. All right. Let's get into some more messages here around this particular issue. Keith West said this: it's very important topic that doesn't need gossip or rumors. Dealing with reality is something people will run from. Yeah, because I'm not making up anything. Everything that I did today was professional. I gave you data. Okay? I showed you where I got the data from. I talked about the University of Houston study. I'm going to put that in here so you can look at that further and read that, and you can click into other links or other articles about because this is not the only article. You can click into other links or look into other studies about suicide amongst Black youth. The Houston study is the most recent, and you can look at the past studies, current, all this stuff, and you'll see that I'm not making up anything. It's the truth.
Tell the truth.
Loco Tina, thank you for being in the house again. She says, cat orange, whistling, cat orange, whistling. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, what's going on, Black man brutally being... let me mod you up because I'm a mod on your channel. So there we go. Black man being brutally honest. I just noticed you came in the house. I don't know if I missed you, but Black man being brutally honest, I just modded you up because I know I'm a mod on your channel, so I'm paying the same respect to you. But thank you for coming over. And What We Know podcast, I'm so glad to have you over here, brother. And everybody, once again, I want you to check out What We Know podcast. You and this brother and myself can be seen over at Black Man Unfiltered's channel, where we're on some very great panels over there having great discussion. I go over there every now and then and get on panels. I haven't been on a panel over there in quite some time, but they have great intelligent discussion on Black Man Unfiltered's channel. And we got What We Know podcast in the house saying, Information Man, salute to you, my brother. Salute to you. Make sure you check his channel out. Let me see here. Who else am I missing right here on the screen? There we go. She says, keep your kids close so they will talk to you. I used to tell my parents everything. Loco Tina, thank you. Loco Tina 143, thank you for that statement. I'll give you a clap. DoorDash Revolution says, yes, indeed. Jonathan just subscribed to his channel. Thank you for doing that, brother Jonathan. Jonathan, what's going on with brother? He hasn't, brother, Brother Honors hasn't dropped. I know he drops videos in his membership. I'm a member of his channel, but I noticed he hasn't put anything. He hasn't gone live in quite some time. You know, regular stream that is. But I hope everything is well with him. I watch whenever he drops something in his community tab from time to time. Jill's Chocolate Boutique says exactly. And let's go right here. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Did I miss anybody else in here? Thank you. If I missed anybody, I gotta say, I'm sorry if I missed anybody. Let me see. Anyway, let's go back up here. What We Know podcast has just come back in the house. Information Man, salute to you, my brother. I read that off already. Let's go. Oh, she's dropping links. And Jill is clapping. And so I think I'm going to end the stream, everybody. I've given it all that I can give. I've done all I could do on this subject matter. I hope that you all were willing to, I hope that you were all able to digest this information as best as you could. I hope that I was as clear as possible in what the things that I said. If you came in late, watch it from the beginning so that you can see the other information that I put out there. I think this is a very serious topic. It's a silent killer. It affects both Black men and Black women, and it affects both Black boys. and it affects black girls as well. And we need to be aware of that. We need to be cognitive of what's happening to our kids in these schools, out of these schools. We should not be ashamed to talk to them about these issues, find out who they're hanging out with, what's really going on. As fathers, we should be willing to have a heart-to-heart conversation with our sons, put our arms around them, tell them we love them. That doesn't make you weak as a man to tell your son that you love him, to show him some nurture as a father within your masculinity. And you can still be firm with your son. You can still teach him the tools he needs to be a man. But in order to teach him to be tools to be a man, we have to also teach our sons as they grow into manhood.
Tell the
The
truth.
tools of communication, the tools of knowing how to deal with their feelings, the tools of knowing how to still be masculine, but at the same time, not be afraid to express themselves when something is wrong that they need help with. You see.
Tell the truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get ready to get on out of here. Once again, share this video, all of your social media. The way you can help this video to grow and get views is to share it with people that you know, that you care about, people that you know, to share it in your TikTok, your Facebook, if you have Facebook, share it in your X or Twitter or whatever the hell we're calling it these days. To share it in your social media, share it in your community tab, because I already know that YouTube is not going to promote this video. They're going to shadow block it, as they've already been doing this to this particular channel. Okay. And the only way to break through it is you all putting it out there. And I appreciate that. I'm getting ready to go here. And for those of you, if you like, on a more lighter topic here, if you like sports and you like football and you like what's happening with Coach Prime at Colorado, follow me on my sports channel at Prime Sports Media. You can scroll down on this page and you will see the channel. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I appreciate you all out there very, very much. Take care. And tell somebody that you actually love them and you care of them. Go and talk to your kids now. Hug your son, hug your daughter. Tell them you love them. Tell them that they can tell you anything that's on their mind, even if it's something that you might not like to hear them say. Talk to your kids. Black youth are deleting themselves, and they are also thinking about taking their lives. And they're also thinking this way because they're stressed out. They're dealing with racism, discrimination. They're dealing with bullying. They're dealing with depression. And the one thing that holds them strong, that keeps them from wanting to do it in the end, is that 58%, the black family. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Information Man Show. Information Man Show. Come on. Thank you for watching. Like and comment. Subscribe.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
BS3 Network is now on Roku TV under BS3 TV. Download today. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information is power. You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.